Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to do a follow-up on the Jae Myeong presidential candidate, and this time we're going to focus on his wife. And you know how we were talking about how the presidential candidate himself yells, abuses, and is obsessed with knives and is just really bad to his family. Well, apparently his wife is also really abusive on the phone. And if you thought the nut rage was bad, well, you gotta listen to phone rage. So before we get into it, I know sometimes when we're telling some of these stories, especially when they're not related to the SJM case, maybe you want to hear about, well, what happened? Is there any follow-up? Well, there's something very interesting that happened with the Han Ye-seul case. You know, the model actress who's being really hounded and accused by that entertainment reporter that seems to have a really strong issue with her and her alleged entertainment host kind of fly-by-night boyfriend. Well, according to the entertainment reporter, she did file a lawsuit against him, and then very shortly thereafter, she left for a vacation to the United States. However, he claims that she fled to the US because the place that she usually hangs out, like her go-to spot to go to karaoke and to drink, and where she may have possibly met her boyfriend, that karaoke bar in fancy part of Seoul that may have like that secret floor or whatnot, if that's the same place. Well, apparently there was a virus outbreak there, and that they were, operating during this. I don't think at that time it was illegal to operate because, we've been going through all of these shifting and restrictions and lockdowns as this Delta is, going around. But apparently one of the staff that is assigned to her, because she's like a VIP there, that team had really gotten sick, and apparently he is accusing her of just kind of fleeing because they're apparently wanted to escape testing or something like that. So he's saying that like she's trying to skip town and trying to escape further investigation. I think what he was alleging is that like if they test her too much, they might find more than some of the cerveza or in there. There might be something else that he's accusing her of ingesting or partaking in. That's what he's accusing her of. She's posted photos on her Instagram of her enjoying her time in Los Angeles, and then he's kind of posted photos like saying she's not wearing a mask and stuff like that. And he's accusing her of just, having a good time while the rest of us here are stuck, suffering. There are two main reasons why I wanted to bring this up again in terms of an update. The first one was mainly a clarification of the beef. Now, yes, it does seem like he has some sort of personal issue with celebrities sort of flaunting their excess in their personal life, but I did want to respond to some of the comments because I do think it does cross the line of more than just an older woman enjoying the pleasures of a younger man. Even a woman or even a man just being loose in their morals or just kind of like living sensually. I think really, again, where he is focusing on is having that kind of world bleed into the world of the normal life. So, like a lot of times the argument is like, well, if they want to decide to do whatever they want to do and, if they're consenting, it's fine. But the thing is that when it starts to hit you, you think that it's not going to hit you. Like, you know, whatever they do is not going to affect you. I think his point is whatever they do does affect you, will come to bite actually you, and people who have no idea that they're doing that over there, and boom, like you get hit, you know, like on this, as if like you get hit on the side of the street, or somebody's having a, you know, a gun battle over there, and then there's like a bullet that flies over that way. I think that's his point. Also, that's wrapped up with his kind of bitterness. So that's why I think he's not the best messenger of that story. However, he's kind of like the only one telling it. But the second reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I wanted to show you, I mean, I was amazed at this, and I don't really get amazed at much because, you know, there's like a lot of weird, intricate like tech things in Korea that I've seen, and y'all are still like, I don't know, fans, but like sometimes, you know, people are really amazed at still like the button on the table at restaurants here in Korea, like you can call the waiter or waitress with like a little wireless bell. Yeah, it's kind of cool. But this one, you ever want to just like roll your car in to like the club, and you don't even want a valet? What if you're just like, oh man, I wish I could just roll my car in. I don't even want to give it to the valet. I wish we could just take the car and just open up, you know, my car door and then just walk to my VIP table and sit down. Well, yeah, you can do that apparently at this club. How? And on the 16th floor. What? Well, you just roll your car in, you take the elevator up, and then you drive it up a little bit and you park it right next to your VIP table. I mean, granted, you have to like sit with your car the entire evening. That's a little weird. And I guess, I don't know, do you have to wait to air out the smog, you know, while you were parking? But that I have never, ever seen before. And that does take some creativity and ingenuity, and somebody saying like, are you crazy? That cannot be done. And somebody saying, we're going to do it. We're going to do it and see if somebody wants this as a product. I mean, how crazy is that? Like somebody opened up a business and they're like, let's see if somebody wants this. And they even put a private bathroom, you know, right next to like where the car comes in. So literally, if you're like a Uber celebrity, you don't want to, you know, kind of see anybody, and even getting in and out of your car. And of course, like, you're not going to drive home drunk. You're going to hire somebody to drive your car home. We have that service in Seoul. It's just a small compressed city. So, you know, you call somebody. It's like an Uber person that comes to your car. They drive you home. They get out of your car, and then they go and try to find another drunk person to drive their car home. And it's possible because the city is so dense, so they can just like hop from place to place to place. They can either, I think, like take a taxi, subway. Some even say like, hey, can I open up your trunk and put my like, you know, electric scooter in there? Or there's some sort of like shuttle system that they operate. So it's kind of cool. Anyhow, I just wanted to show you some of the pictures of that because like I have never seen that before. All right, so let's get to the phone rage of the wife. And this is also infuriating. Do you want a first lady who does this? So again, this only comes from the family. And so remember how the phone call between the sister-in-law and the politician was released by the sister-in-law. The phone call between the brothers was released by the sister-in-law, because the sister-in-law is saying like, look, this politician has been abusing my husband so much that he got sick and he passed away. And so now I have found, and this is old news. Okay, this comes from Mr. Shin's YouTube channel from like 2 years ago. So this is old news. And just as an aside, by the way, you know that second clip of the phone where there were like talking between the sister-in-law and the politician, that has been like taken off of YouTube in Korea. Like you're not allowed to listen to it in Korea. So you're lucky if you can listen to it on this channel, because mysteriously they're still trying to figure out, the courts in terms of like YouTube Korea have, you know, knocked it down. So you're lucky if you can listen to it here. The politician says, I had nothing to do with it, but everyone's like, yeah, you probably did. So anyhow, so then she also had before released a conversation between her daughter and the politician's wife. The daughter at that time was still going to school. So you know, like when kids, when they're going to school, they're just waking up at around like 7 a.m. Well, this politician's wife, basically, her aunt called her at like 7 a.m. 7 a.m. to harass her. And we're gonna listen to it. Okay, we're gonna listen now.
여보세요?
여보세요?
네,
나다 작은 엄마 지영아.
네,
자느라고 못 받은 거니?
네, 저 지금 자고 있는데.
전화 좀 받아라. 미안하지만 아침에 일찍. 작은 엄마가 네가 보낸 문자 봤거든?
네,
작은 엄마가 무슨 허위 사실을 유포했다 그러니?
지금 이 아침부터 이렇게 연락하시는 건 뭐예요?
아줌마가 시간이 없어서 그래.
그럼
네가 보낸 문자는 청소하는 아줌마한테도 그따위 문자 안 보내겠더라. 길거리 청소하는 아줌마한테도. 네가 집안 어른을 어떻게 봤길래 성우나 너나 집안의 노숙자 부부한테도 그렇게 할 수 없는 문자와 전화 매너를 가지고 있니? 그래, 내가 얘기했지. 엄마 아빠 입장에서 니네가 생각할 거라고 그래서 작은 엄마가 얘기 안 해준다고 그랬지. 니네 엄마한테 들으라고. 네가 판단한다며. 네가 그렇게 판단한 것까지는 괜찮아.
네.
그런데 어떻게 그따위 문자를 보낼 수가 있어, 작은 엄마한테. 내가 집안 어른 아니야 그래도?
아니요,
집안에
이제
길거리에 있는 내가 노숙자 아줌마야?
어른 아니시라고요.
인연이기냐?
인연이라니요.
어른 아니라고 내가?
네,
야, 다시 말해봐 너.
어른 아니시라고요.
그래?
네,
좋아. 내가 여태까지 니네 아빠 강제 입원 내가 말렸거든? 니네 작은 아빠 하는 거? 너 때문인 줄 알아라?
뭐 하시는
알았어?
거예요, 정말? 협박하시는 거예요?
허위사실 유포했 때문에 허위사실 아닌 거 내가 보여줄게.
Okay, so the politician's wife hung up on this little girl who is still in like public school, you know, like not even like college, I believe. How pathetic do you have to be when you're a grown woman and you lost an argument and you had to be the one that had to hang up? Oh my God, how cool. For this reason alone, I think there is hope in the future. Do you see how cool this girl was? I don't know, is she Generation Z or the one after that? She was half asleep, and she was able to do this sort of word fight with her auntie. You know, she's like, I said you're not an adult. She's like, blah, 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 blah. You're not an adult, I said. And she didn't know what to do with it. I thought that was a very classy way to fight with a bully. And obviously this lady is a bully. The husband style is also a bully. So do you want to be, again, a nation bullied by your leader? I think we're tired of that now. I mean, perhaps it had its place before, but if you continue on this path, you're gonna eventually end up where the entire nation is just gonna go crazy. And it's not gonna engender any growth. This generation, this younger generation, is really discontented right now because the current older generation hasn't been able to deliver this future vision of growth that even they would be happy with, and not to mention anything that they would be able to satisfactorily give to their kids, and nothing that their kids would be at all be happy with. And when I look at these kids these days, they are probably the generation that would be so grateful with just that 9-to-5 job. I don't know where we get like so many criticisms of the young generation, because if anything, this generation is a little bit too willing to just be a 9-to-5er. This generation, when you ask them what college is for, it's essentially to get an office job. This generation is so willing to just be an office worker that follows orders. That's all you needed to do, older generation. You really messed this up, because that's all you needed to do and all you needed to provide this generation. You did not need to provide this generation like a whole new world. You just needed to provide them a steady paycheck, a cubicle, and some sort of product that can come off of a factory for enough years until they could retire. That's it. And they weren't expecting to blow up their minds in college either. You had it so easy, and you messed it up, and then you are going to call a girl this young like this and scream at her and yell at her because you didn't like this text message. And also, like, where is your mind? You are so concerned that you might be compared to a homeless lady on the street, a cleaning lady, and a cleaning lady on the street. Is that how you see yourself? I don't know your family background. I don't know like where you came from, but I could also see that perhaps if Jae Myeong came from a humble background and the rest of his family, you know, like he got political points by saying like, oh, the rest of my family, they're very humble. Like I come from the people. That's why you should vote for me. So she probably also comes from the people, because I doubt at that point any kind of like rich family would send their daughter off on a risky, you know, guy that might make it or not. And so maybe she does have these kind of hangups, but that gives her no right to yell at her own niece like that. And maybe she's even jealous of her own niece. I mean, who wouldn't be threatened by a girl that young who knows how to fight in her sleep like that with the perfect one-liner? Because it was not offensive in my book. If you're not acting like an adult, you as a kid are completely within your rights, if you say it respectfully the way that she said it, to point out a violation of the social contract. This lady kept saying like, you should treat me as an adult member of this family. I hold some sort of rank and position. I am an esteemed member of the... So she is invoking social contract, respect for age, respect for being an adult. You should acknowledge that. She is also evoking social contract. You do not embody the conditions of being an adult. You do not embody the conditions that warrant the privileges and rights that come from that title. Smart. Why not? I like this girl. Do you call your niece a Bitcoin? If you had a sister-in-law that called your daughter a Bitcoin, what would you do? I say this mother has been very patient all these years. And I think it's time that we just give her some support at least. Also, I just wanted to respond to another question in the comments that concerned the division between personal life and what a politician does in his actual job. So somebody mentioned like, okay, fine, he can abuse his family, but is he fair in his job? Is he honest and has he had good policies? Well, if you look at the evidence of how he has used his power brought up by direct evidence, in this case of his family, he has abused his own police department by calling the police department on his own family for minor tics and not even any kind of actual transgression. So they got into like a fight over a family dinner, and then while they were driving home, like the brother and his wife were driving home, he had filed some sort of police report, and then when they got home, the police were waiting for them and they hauled them to the police station. And apparently in these types of instances, you have to wait several days for the bureaucracy to work. So he obviously abused his power. And so remember when he called on that infamous phone message, the one that kind of got blocked? He was basically saying, are you getting investigated, little Bitcoin? Like he was taunting her and holding that kind of power that he had, saying that like, I got the police on my side, you know, I can make your life a mess. Do you want somebody to weaponize the entire nation's power? And you know, yes, the police is strong, but you know what's even more powerful is the secret police. It's like the secret, you know, I don't even want to say the agency because it's so scary. They can really mess you up. And so you want to weaponize that against the citizens? And already we have had cases where weaponizing that has brought so much turmoil and pain to this country. So much. And where they've hauled people off to Namsan Mountain and tortured them. Yeah. And that building right now is a hostel, okay? Yeah, it's an international youth hostel. You can go there. It's creepy, but you can go there and just know if when you're staying in those budget price rooms, there were people tortured in those rooms before. Just saying. Also, what were his policies like? Well, he was behind the recent fiasco and debacle of testing foreigners for the cerveza virus when there was an outbreak at a factory where there were some foreign workers. So his logic was, oh gosh, there was an outbreak at this factory, so it must be foreigners who have this virus. Not that there was a factory and these factory workers lived in cramped dorms and worked in a cramped factory. He thought it was just foreigners. So he tested, he made it a mandatory like 3-week testing period or 4-week testing period where every foreigner had to get a test in his county or face like a $2,000 fine. And he didn't even have the resources or the facilities to be able to even handle all the foreigners if they all showed up. And it created so much chaos, and it really reeked of racism and xenophobia. And the logic didn't make sense, because if some foreigner was like, you know, working from home, how would their foreigner status make them more likely to have the cerveza virus? That made no sense. So it's almost like if there was an outbreak at a hagwon and it was in a class of high school juniors, you would then say like, oh my gosh, it must just be high school juniors, and you would only test high school juniors across the entire county, and you wouldn't think like, oh, maybe it's just like, you know, these tight hagwon classes where all these kids are crammed together, and you would like make policies around cramped studying conditions. Oh my goodness. But so there's a lot of criticisms against his policies where it's a lot of showmanship and really triggers upon a lot of aspects of bias and even though he's supposed to be like progressive, like human rights abuses, it's basically just like kind of pointing the finger again at a different group instead of being more for humanity. So I think that Bernie Sanders label is an insult to Bernie Sanders. So I think he should stop using that label. He should not be saying he's like the Bernie Sanders of Korea. Sorry, Bernie Sanders. So what do you guys think? Do you think that she went off the handle, or do you think that this is something that we should just accept as kind of like a normal part of human behavior and just let this one slide? Let us know. Put your comments below. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. See you again next time. Bye.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.